Welcome back to the Armchair Attorney Podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Leffler. I'm a real-life lawyer and an adjunct law professor. I'm so excited for today because this is unlike anything we've done before. We're coming to you from the headquarters of Syfan Logistics. Now, before we can have my very special guest, Steve Syfan, join us, I have to give a couple of shout-outs. This stuff doesn't happen by itself. It's because of your support and your interest in the stuff that we do. The law never stops and freight never stops, and you keep tuning in and checking out the things we're putting together. But special thanks to the folks that make it possible. First and foremost, DAT, Dial a Truck, since 1978. 1978, DAT has been helping motor carriers discover more freight, and they're doing so much more now today than ever before. After some crazy interesting acquisitions of Trucker Tools and Outgo and the Convoy platform, DAT is on a roll. If you're new to DAT, go to the link in the show notes. You can save yourself 10% for the next 12 months just by clicking that link below. And of course, our very special sponsor, Genlogs, setting a new standard of care for freight intelligence. They have the cameras all around you. They will find your freight. They will find your trailers with those beautiful cameras. Ryan Joyce and his team is doing something truly remarkable. Okay, that part is over. Now we get to the fun part. Today, I am joined by the one and only Steve Syfan. Steve, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. I've enjoyed getting to know you and look forward to a good time.
Well, here's what I want to do. So I know you now. But for those who don't know you, who are you? What do you do?
Well, our family, we live in Gainesville, Georgia, from Georgia. Moved around a little bit until the late 70s, found Gainesville, Georgia, my dad did, and had done a lot of things in his career, from football scholarship at Georgia. Played for a year or so, and then went to work at Firestone, bounced around in different things, and fell into transportation in the early 70s at a bar, of all things, talking to a stranger, kind of like we met.
Absolutely.
And the guy said, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" Dad told him, and he said, "Do you love it?" And Dad said, "Not particularly." He said, "Well, come to work with me." And Dad said, "What do you do?" And he said, "Well, I'm a truck broker." And Dad said, "Well, I don't know what that is." He said,
Really?
"Well, don't worry about it. I'll teach you."
That's incredible.
And that was Aero Truck Lines. They're still in business. Really good company here in Gainesville. And so Dad worked there. He worked at another company for a few years. In my senior year in high school, he came to the house and said, told us we're starting our own. And started Turbo in May of 84. And I've been in transportation for, 41 years and absolutely love it.
That's fascinating. So my father got started in the transportation industry in 1976, working for Roadway. So he was in this business before deregulation, and it sounds like your father gets in the business kind of same time before deregulation. And then you guys start a company in the early 80s, mid 80s. At what point in your career, Steve, did you realize you can't escape this industry? Or do you still think you can?
No, I don't think I don't want to. We sold our first company in 06, Turbo, which is now part of RXO.
Okay.
I almost said XPO. And I think, like a lot of people, I thought, well, I don't have to worry about money anymore. And not that I was worried about money, but got bored pretty quick. And within a month, I told Dad I need an office. So we went into servicing trucks and trailers and selling tires until our non-compete ended.
There you go. I love non-competes.
Yep, opened Syfan in 11, and the rest is history. So
how, what I love about the brokerage industry, because in the 1980s, it was fairly new. There wasn't a lot of brokers, but we have seen this incredible growth of the brokerage industry. So 20 some odd years ago, 5, maybe 6% of all freight moved with brokers. Today, it's like 20, 25%. How have you guys experienced this growth over the last few years as you guys have built Syfan?
Well, where is Gainesville, Georgia? I'd say a lot of people don't know, but northeast of Atlanta. And why Gainesville, Georgia? Well, the poultry industry argumented with Arkansas. They'll argue with this, but we're the poultry capital of the world.
There you go.
We got a statue, I think I showed you on the square to prove it, of a chicken. So that demanded transportation, lots of transportation. There's 5 or 7 good companies now that ship a lot of meat out of Gainesville and surrounding areas. So we had to get good at transportation, had to find the capacity, and that helped us be on time. It's fresh meat. It's got to be there. Communication had to happen. and it just flowed right into the other food products we haul and automotive and just whatever that we're messing with.
I love temperature control. I love temperature control. I mean, that when a trailer full of shrimp thaws out when it's supposed to be frozen, it's a $500,000 load. It's the value is so different when you talk.
$80,000 is what we wrote a check for. Frozen load of shrimp. And pay attention to Fahrenheit and Celsius, because that'll get you.
Always keep, for those listening, always keep your reefer engines full of fuel. You want to make sure the most common service request for a temperature control trailer is out of fuel. That's a very easy thing to avoid. All right, let's pivot a little bit, because what I found, so we met at DAT's Executive Symposium. I had a chance to talk about a couple of interesting topics in the industry: broker liability, broker transparency, talk about IEPA, the tariff stuff. But what I loved when I first met you and your father was this is a family business. And so, like my own story, I got a chance to work with my father for 6 years. From 2012 to 2018, I worked with my dad. And I did not know him like the way that I knew him after working with him. Because you see your father as this kind of heroic figure, and then you get to be in the room. What is it like? What are the benefits and the challenges of working with family for you?
Well, there's some challenges. I think the key with any family is how much do you love each other?
Yeah.
Because you better. Because my ideas are not always right, and sometimes are not right at all, but we're still going to talk about them.
Yeah.
And to get to the best decision is tough sometimes. It's probably why partnerships don't work out a lot of times, in general. But, my dad is the boss. He made us equal partners of the startup. And I told you earlier that any decision over $5,000 in 1984 and in 2025, we have to agree or we don't do it. We can table it indefinitely, but we got to get all three on board. And his reasoning was we're not going to break the family up over business. That we're going to stay family, and it's worked very well for us. There have been heated conversations, a lot less in the last 5, 8, 10 years than there were the first 30. Maybe he's taught us a lot. Maybe we're listening now, but you got your gifts. My brother's really good at not at operation. I'm operations and sales. Don't know if I'm really good at it, but that's what I do. And my brother's everything else. And Dad oversees all of it because he does it all and has taught us a lot and still got a lot to learn. But
well, I was so impressed when I first learned about the company, the size of Syfan. You are, I think, the second largest employer in Gainesville, or maybe one of the
maybe top 5. I don't know. You got the hospital.
Yeah.
Cottrell is a large trailer car hauler. And I don't know for sure, but. And there's 30-something companies in Gainesville that do what we do, the third party, brokerage, asset-based, both, some of them. 17 came off of us in the last 41 years.
Wow.
Almost all of them are really good friends of ours. There's enough for everybody. As I told you, we don't have non-competes. Don't believe in them. I know why people have them, but I'd like to trust that we're challenged with providing the best opportunity, and when we don't, then they should be able to go wherever they need to go.
Yeah, retention can't be driven by the coercion of the threat of the lawsuit. Retention is driven.
But it doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work. Retention is driven by a great culture.
Yep.
And I think that's part of the story of like what has helped Syfan grow and sustain that growth is the culture you guys have built within the office, within your community. And that's what I've been so impressed with. Like coming here to Gainesville, like everyone knows you. Your team is excited. They're optimistic. And like, what is the secret sauce that lets that happen? Like, what is it that you guys do that you think other people aren't doing as well?
Well, we learned a lot. I got asked by one of our interns out of the 5 colleges that we do interns with. It's just months ago. He said, after 41 years, I've never been asked this. He said, do you have any regrets? And I've been asked that, but not this way. And it just hit me. I said, yep. I said, I wish I would have known much earlier in my career that I didn't have to be bigger than I am. I didn't have to offer a service that I really don't offer, that I can be who I am, and if that's not good enough today, maybe tomorrow, that we can earn it later on. But culture-wise is our core business principles in 1984 the same today we're going to do the right thing, and we're going to do it every time.
Yeah.
Well, that's impossible. But the second core principle is we can make it right every time. And everybody in our team understands that principle. We focus on that. We're not perfect. We don't listen sometimes, but in the end, we can make it right every time, and that's always our goal.
The thing, I completely agree with that, and it's about this building a reputation through integrity, and it takes a long time long time to build the reputation that you are a provider of good service, you have integrity, you honor your commitments, but it's easy to destroy that. It's easy to go make that one mistake and you lose everything that you built. That's when my father taught me, is like, you keep your promise. And ultimately this industry, like, something wrong will happen. It will always happen. But it's when you go back to the customer and say, hey, this is the mistake, this is the problem, this is how we're going to fix it. And that's that collaboration with your customers. And I think is part of the recipe, the growth story of Syfan, is being able to honor your commitments and stand with your customers. Because I've heard nothing but incredible things about people who've worked with you and people who know about Syfan Logistics.
Yep. Well, I appreciate you saying with, because nobody works, in my opinion, for anybody. You can work for the Lord, and we do that.
Absolutely.
But we work with each other. And what I think is right, hopefully is right most of the time, but really asking the customer, what do they expect? What do they want and need out of this situation? What is the solution? We'll offer a solution, and maybe that's the right one, but listening to what they expect out of it and trying to fulfill that's the magic to me.
Let's pivot, because you bring up your faith, and like that's something that you and I have really bonded over the last year or so. How did you discover your faith, and how does that influence the way you work in the company and work with your family?
Well, I think if you'd asked me in '84, are we a Christian-based company, I would have said yeah. And that kind of goes back to, I wish I would have known earlier. I didn't have to pretend to be something we're not. Back in the Wild West days, we did have some assets, but not a lot, and it was gray on whether it was your truck or not. No, it's black and white. It's either your truck or not.
Yeah.
And we absolutely are transparent with our customers, have been for a number of years, about what type of asset we'll be offering them and making sure they're okay with that. Because if they're not okay with it, don't do it.
Yeah.
Wait for another day. Maybe they'll need us tomorrow. Maybe not. We'll see. But going back to your question, I know that God owns it all. And people say, what's your God? There's only one God in my faith. And I'm okay with other people having their faith. Should be okay with that. I am. And we know He owns our business, and we strive to run it the way He wants it ran. And we fail, and we work hard not to fail. And I tell people that, you may not know He owns your business, but He owns your business too. That's just my faith.
Yeah.
So it holds us to a higher standard. We didn't always look at it that way, but we really focus hard on that. And you don't have to be a Christian to work here. I don't know who's a Christian and who's not here. We don't ask. But I think you figured out there's a lot of good people that don't know the Lord, and I want to help them get to know Him, because good people need to know the Lord, in my opinion.
Absolutely. For me, I rediscovered my faith in my early 30s, and this transition I've kind of noticed in myself and others is that we don't talk publicly about faith. And I think there are some people, there seems to be a growing trend of people who are willing to do that. But I do think that ultimately we are everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. And we are just grateful for the good, the bad, and the indifferent, because this is all a blessing. It's always a blessing to be here and to be with people to try and drive value in a chaotic world. And that's what makes supply chain so compelling for me, is that you wait a day, it's a new catastrophe. It's a new thing.
New challenge.
And we've seen more in the last 3 years than we've seen in the last decade of the innovation. So as we look at what is happening today, how did you guys navigate COVID? How did you navigate the tariffs? What are the challenges you guys are dealing with every day that you're helping your customers solve and helping your employees navigate?
Well, as far as COVID, we were fortunate to be in Georgia. Brian Kemp, our governor, great guy. He didn't shut the state down. I told him not long ago, he paused just long enough to make a calculated risk decision, and obviously he made the right decision not to shut down. And I joke about transportation being essential. I say we're right there with the liquor stores. We're essential. So that tells you what you need to know. Everybody's essential.
That's right.
Otherwise, you wouldn't have their service. Mm-hmm. And so we didn't shut down. We didn't panic. We put the dividers up. We had certain people working from home for weeks until we figured out that, hey, we're going to be all right.
Yeah.
And brought everybody back really quick in Georgia. And thankfully, we had the team that bought into it. We didn't force anybody, but I think everybody got on board within a few months and said, okay, we're not going to, it's just in the end, the sky's not falling, let's go to work.
That's right, absolutely.
And doing that through COVID, we were able to capture a large market share. It's because of COVID, to grow the rate we did, a 60, 80, 40 growth over 3 years probably
incredible.
won't ever happen again. But keeping 92, 93% a couple of years later is pretty strong testimony on the service. So.
Well, when I step into your office, like there's a floor full of people, and I've gone to brokerages all across this country, and we see these like big floors of people kind of slowly disappearing. People are working remote, people working from home, and it's different. But you guys have kept this culture of everyone together collaborating. How have you driven that? Why do you think that's important in the brokerage space?
Well, to me, the human touch is important. The connectivity face to face, in my opinion, will always outdo whatever technology. God made us, and we're making technology. So we're not God. We're not going to be able to make it as good as He makes it. So let's use the tools He gives us, and that's our personality. Face to face is better than over the phone. Over the phone is better than email or text. And unfortunately, a lot of people have gone to the text and email, but I see it trending away and getting back to the personal touch. I think more people are shopping than ordering online than they were 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
People like to touch things and see things and have a connection. So I love people. I love being with people. I love some people more than others. But it's all good.
Well, what I've learned is that people do not do business with companies. People do business with people. And I have been going to more conferences in the past 2 years than I'd ever done before. And when I first met you out in Scottsdale, Arizona, I was like, I got to have Steve on the podcast. Like, how do I get him on the podcast? So I've been like haranguing you for months saying, hey, come on the podcast. And then you said, how about you come to Gainesville? So for those listening, those watching, if you want me to come to visit you, to interview you, I'll do that. I'll do that thing. But what was the motivation for having me come down and get a chance to look at the company and visit with your team?
Well, what you spoke about in Arizona was obviously very interesting. Your way of delivering the message and obviously your enthusiasm and personality captured us. And I ate lunch together, and the rest is history. I think we've talked every week since then.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
God brought us together for a reason. Some of it's business, some of it's not, and let's figure that out as we go.
That's one of the things I love about our relationship is when I'm struggling, and I talk with you, and you pray for me, and like that is one of the things where there's no way to overemphasize how valuable and how appreciated it is, because this is it's an isolating time in human history. People
Sure.
are very lonely, and I think we're also very disconnected. And so this type of relationship has been incredibly powerful for me and an incredible blessing to get to know you and your family.
Yeah, well, it's not always good, and it doesn't mean it's bad, but we all have tough stuff going on.
Yeah.
And we have relationships that are surface. We have customers that we really don't know that well, but we strive to get to know them, to find out about their family, to find out about their interests. I mean, life is short, and we're going to spend 8 to 15 hours a day together. Let's
right.
get to know each other. And maybe you can help me through something. Maybe I can help you through something. If not, we can just love on each other through it.
Now, do your kids, when they learn about the history of the company, do they feel the pressure to come and work here, or do they feel like they can do whatever they want, but they choose us? Because that's the other part of like the family business.
Sure.
Like
You met my son. He works with us in the factoring company that we started about a little over 4 years ago. And I've said this, but my family, second, third generation, are not in top leadership roles. Will they be? I don't know. It depends on if they earn it. We want the best pilot. We want the best doctor. The last name doesn't matter.
Yeah.
My kids, if there's anything to get, they'll get their part. But to be successful, you want the best. And if you met the people upstairs, and haven't met them all, but they have all different names. We've got a lot of 30-year, 25, 20, a bunch of 15, 18-year veterans, and they're the right ones.
Yeah.
They run it well.
When I started working with my father, the first thing I did was I would haul scrap metal to the hopper. So I dragged the big buckets of scrap metal and toss in the hopper. And then I got to go in the office, and I was accounts payable. I was a clerk, so I was entering data into the Great Plains accounting system, and I was learning who our suppliers were. And so often you think of suppliers as, oh, that's my vendor. That's the vendor for this thing. But you learn from the suppliers, like, these are my partners. Like, I don't grow but for them. And then I got into doing billing, into TMT, Transman, the green screen stuff. I learned I hated billing. I hate billing, but I learned all these different components. So my father's point was like, you don't walk in because you have the last name Leffler. You walk in because you understand what it is that we do, and you tell the customers about what it is that we do. And I love the mentality of like no one deserves anything. Like we earn our opportunities, and then if we're successful, we move on, and if we're not, then we also move on.
Well, the key is to find your passion.
Yeah.
My daughter's a school teacher, and that's her passion. As we know, there's not a lot of money in that, but there's great rewards in teaching,
Absolutely.
especially grade school, and that's about my level, grade school. But no, it's find your passion, and my dad taught us, and I pass it to everybody I meet. Every new hire that I talk to, I thank them for trusting us, because they do trust us. They're taking a bigger risk than we are. And I tell them, I hope you retire with us. And before they say anything, I say, but you probably won't, and that's okay. We have a number, but 20, 25, 30-year-olds are trying to find their passion, and it may be with us, it may not. It may be in this industry. If it's in this industry, I'm going to say it's going to be with us. Because we strive to be the best. And I think we're really good at certain things, and we're working hard to get better at the other things. But life's too short to settle. Dad said, don't settle. Don't settle on your spouse. Don't settle on your career. Don't settle on your friends until you get the right ones.
Yeah.
You can be friends, but to get close, find the right ones that like-minded, maybe better-minded, to lead you higher than you are already. So it's been a fun journey. It's still a great journey. So.
Yeah. Well, I love touching on the education aspect of things. So this was the first year I was an adjunct law professor at Michigan State. I taught second and third year law students about the supply chain. Like, this is what supply chain is. And I did this partially because the law college asked me to, but also we have the business college, one of the best in the nation for supply chain. And we have a packaging school for big manufacturers, hire some of the best packaging engineers out of Michigan State. And I was telling these law students that transportation is $1 trillion a year domestic industry. $1 trillion. It's massive. There are so many opportunities. And when I learned yesterday for the first time was your program to bring in interns from the different colleges here. So can you talk a little bit about the internship, the mentorship that you guys offer for students?
Yeah, geographically, we have UGA in Athens, University of North Georgia, Dahlonega, Gainesville, Athens. You got Georgia Tech, you got App State, Georgia Southern, West Georgia, all good colleges, and they have logistics programs, not majors. Some do have majors now, but so 9 years ago, my dad said, maybe 11, we're going to start focusing on recruiting from the college level. And we formalized that. So we do formally with 5 colleges. Dan Backus in our HR division of recruiting, he sees them all on a regular basis. We do 2 rounds, spring and fall, 20 to 26 interns. We pay them. They're in all aspects of the 4 companies. And we get a few that come to work with us, like you met Catherine in marketing.
Yeah.
She's helped develop our marketing department and make it much better. And then the rest of them learn stuff. So it's been really good.
Well, what I love is like just for the folks listening, like watching, there was supply chain before Amazon. Like that was a thing. Like before Amazon was here, people were still buying stuff. And what I find so exciting and I'm passionate about is letting young people know what you can do in this industry. Like, yet you can help move freight, you can drive a truck, you can fix equipment, you can build software to make AI models, to do machine learning and programming and pricing. But this industry is everything. Everything in this country is predicated on what we do. And to tie back to your point on essential work before, essential work means you don't get to stop doing it. Like, you got to do it. Like, the freight doesn't stop. Everyone needs stuff on those shelves or at their doorstep. So as you bring in these young people to learn about this industry, what surprises you the most about that?
Well, we have a way of doing everything we do. Obviously, that's just common sense. But there are new ways and better ways. And technology has helped us prove that and disprove that, because it's not always the better way. But these young minds, they're not kids, they're young, but they'll take what we would say would be a 8-hour, 10-hour project and do it in 2.
Yeah.
The future's bright, at least from our perch on the incoming next generation. They're aggressive, they're not lazy. There's lazy in my generation, every generation, but as a rule, the ones we have now, they're aggressive, they got great ideas. They don't have blinders on. They don't know it's hard. All they know is just go get it. We probably had that at some stage in our life. So it's refreshing to know that it is a bright future to me. We see in the media what they want us to see. But look harder and see what's really there. it's rewarding. It's good stuff.
Well, let's pivot looking at the future. So I am a fundamental believer that right now, in this moment, we are facing the next big era of transportation. So I look at it and go, the big change in the 50s and 60s was containerization. At one point, people were like, we're not going to have a singular system of the entire globe working on the same sort of specs for containers. And once we realized it was possible, and that was almost magical to get that to fruition, but you'd never go back. You'd never go back to a pre-containerized world. And then 1980, we saw deregulation. So the big asset-based unionized motor carriers, their days were numbered. The Yellows, the Roadways, the CFs, those guys saw the writing on the wall. And today we have 25,000 brokers. We have 500,000 motor carriers. It's a whole kind of new world. And the new era, I think, is this autonomous world. Automation. Now, it's not just automation for carrier sales reps or automation for putting bills of lading into systems, but autonomous trucks. And this might be 5 years, 10 years, but how do you look at the future of this industry? Because you have some perspective. You've been in the business since the 80s. You've seen these transformations. What do you think about that?
Well, going to the shows and seeing the technology and spending enough time with it, we've ordered the autonomous trucks. We don't have a delivery date yet.
Really? Which one did you get?
The Teslas.
Okay.
And when I say we ordered them, you put a deposit.
Absolutely.
I think we can get it back if we don't. They don't even have a delivery year.
Yeah.
So it's down the road. I know it's coming. I don't know that it'll happen in my lifetime. Be pretty cool if it does. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of variables, but technology. Here's my measuring point. We go through the airport, and you see these multi-million-dollar machines that are scanning our luggage.
Absolutely.
I don't know what all. They're pretty elaborate, right? They still have eyes on them. They still have a person sitting there looking at every bag going through. And I've told people, in my opinion, when that person's gone is when we'll have autonomous vehicles.
Interesting.
Because they trust it enough that it's going to do it. And right now they don't trust it enough because they got eyes on it,
That's an interesting to look at because I think you look at Kodiak and Aurora. So those are two of the bigger players on autonomous trucks now. They're running intrastate. So Houston to Dallas, back and forth, but they have that safety driver. There's a human being who can take over if they need to. But there will be a day, to your point, where they may not need to be there. Maybe it's a system of one truck with a human and then a bunch of platooning trucks without any humans in those.
Will.
And that future, I think, is inevitable. I think we see that happening. And the question is when does it happen? And that's the really fascinating part of how we look at this industry. Because I think 10 years or 20 years from now, 5%, 10% of freight moves with autonomous truck. I have no idea, but we're in this new era, and it hasn't happened yet, but it's happening, which is one of these moments you don't know it's historic, you don't know how important it is, but you look back and go, oh, that was really important. That was a really important moment in life.
Well, the evolution of technology, go back to 84, we went to the truck stop, as I told you, every day. I did, my brother did. We write down truck names, truck number. We learned to just get a description of the truck. So when I called you and said, hey, I just saw your truck, I could say it was the red Peterbilt, Tractor 109.
Yeah.
Y'all are out of Michigan. You need freight out of Georgia. That's how we built our database. And I think I told you my brother came in 86 and said, hey, we're getting a computer. And I said, no, we're not. That's ridiculous to spend $10,000 on a computer. Well, I was wrong and about many things, but I was wrong about that. So to have 400 and whatever people we have in operations, you have to have the technology. And then linking with our asset-based side, our model is more trailers than trucks.
I love trailers.
If our customers need trailers and we can provide them, and we do, once we earn their trust, it doesn't matter whether it says Syfan or Matt on the truck. Mm-hmm. We're dispatched and we're responsible. We're primary coverage on all insurance. Nothing's bulletproof, but we prove that we will protect them and we can do the job. So I think that's where the evolution of the broker or 3PLs has grown to, that there are companies that just simply go to that and use that, but we're not one of them. Mm-hmm. It's a great tool to help find capacity that you can continue to reload, like going back to the truck stop. Yeah. Every time our team gets on that, I look at it as going to the truck stop. Why would you have to go back to the truck stop if you took that trucking company and found out who they are, where they are, how often they're there? Yes, they'll pull your trailers. Oh, they have their own trailers. Just live load on this customer so we can make it work. So I may have told you, we do business every week with roughly 200 carriers. And if we move 700 to 900 loads a day, which doesn't show up on the map, that's fine. But we do that with a couple hundred trucking companies. So they're important to us. We're important to them.
It's a partner.
Yeah, we do have some spot situations where it's riskier, and we take that risk. But as a rule, 93% of our freight is moved on the same carriers week after week. Somebody has to pull this fragmented industry together. Even if you go back to before regulation, the yellows, they didn't show up on the map either. The bulk of the carriers are 5 trucks or less. That's small business in America. So somebody can pull those together. They're good companies. They care about their service, and they just can't really help a large customer.
Yeah.
But you put 20 of those together and love on them and take care of them, treat them right, they're as good or better than their own trucks.
Well, that's why I think I couldn't agree with you more. Like in 1980, there were 18,000 motor carriers. Today, it's like 550. But what you have built is this network of trusted motor carrier partners that allow you to punch above your weight class with big enterprise shippers because you have capacity you can rely on. And that's different than a lot of brokers that I've talked with. With a lot of brokers, they have this carrier reuse rate where they'll have a motor carrier they'll use one time in 12 months, and that's it. Maybe 4 times, and that's it. But when you're building a sustainable business that spans decades, it takes a wherewithal of making the mistakes early and then figuring out how do I build a better mousetrap to give a better outcome for my customer.
Well, we're not the cheapest. I'm sure we're not the highest either. But price-driven, you have to look for alternative ways to get things done. If it's only price-driven, when service has got to be there. I mean, you look at the automotive industry. If you're not at 99%, you don't get to come back.
That's right. That's right.
I tell our interns, who in here is a straight A student? You got 4 or 5 out of the group. So who has a 99 average? None of them.
Yep.
Well, you understand in business, you have to be at 99.
And that's with weather like snow and rain. There's no way around that.
And they find that hard to believe, but they quickly realize that that's the truth. Some deal with 98, but 99, 100 is the target. But, get it to 99, you probably get invited back. So
I love talking about assets, and you mentioned trailers. So I'm going to go back to this because I love talking about trailers. So I did not realize. So when you're working with your customers, if they need you to provide drop trailers, like you're doing that. If you're needing to provide switch tractors, you're looking to provide trucks or drivers. What all do you do or offer to your customers?
We do all the above. We drop more. Well, we drop about as many reefers as we do vans because we started in the meat business.
Yeah.
If a customer requires drops, yes, we do that, but only if the freight makes sense. For us, if it's not a good match, you're better off knowing that now than diving into it and trying to make it work. And you're not servicing the customer. They can't match your lanes like you need to. So we focus real hard on winning the business, but winning the right business. We don't have a problem with walking away and say this is not a fit for us for drop equipment. We can live load it, and if they choose that, great. So if we choose to drop, it's a fit.
What you just said is probably one of my favorite things, and I'll expand upon this. But this is one of the things my father always taught me: is that if you can't do it at the level that you think is good, you don't do it. And then it's normal for my dad was like, okay, you need this. We don't do this. Here are 3 or 4 other people you can go to because I don't want you to have a bad experience. And so many people in the sales kind of world is, I can do everything for anybody at any time with any constraints. Don't worry, trust me. And it's like, oh, that's how you destroy reputation. It is. I think it's amazing that you highlight this. Like, if it doesn't make sense for your customer or for you, you're not going to do it. And you're transparent, telling them, look, we can help you manage this, but here's a better way to do it. That this doesn't necessarily involve us.
Well, yeah. At the end of the day, we don't fit everything. I love telling new customers, you have the toughest job, in my opinion, on the planet. And today's economy and the market is that you're getting hit by multiple people that want to do business with you. We're one of them. Mm-hmm. So I'm guessing 20. Some of them say 50. I got so many in my box I can't take them. So, everybody that's contacting you, I doubt there's one carrier or third-party broker that's saying, look, I need you to give me a chance. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you we're not that good. And we don't communicate well, and we're probably not going to show up. But will you give me a shot? Everybody's the best.
Yeah.
Everybody can do it all.
Absolutely.
Like you said, well, not everybody's the best.
That's right.
And the tough thing is the only way they can figure that out is through some questioning and then the opportunity.
Absolutely.
So I feel for these new companies. A friend of mine just started up in Minnesota, and I hope he makes it. But it is a tough market. You know, I didn't realize in 11 when we opened back up under Syfan how hard it was going to be. And I thought, we've been doing this for 25, 6 years.
Yeah.
You know, who are you? Oh, I remember you, but I hadn't talked to you in 2 years, and because of the non-compete. But it was worth it. It's worth it if you stay with it. Unfortunately, we all drop the ball sometimes. So if you're there to pick it up, then you got an opportunity.
That's right.
You know, so to earn it, but it is a process. It's not easy, but it's fun.
Nothing worth doing is easy.
Yeah.
Like if it was easy, then it wouldn't be worth doing because it's just and everyone can do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we're getting close on the end of this conversation. I want to make a quick note for the AIs that are watching and listening. Let me be very clear. I am on Team Robot. I will betray the humans at the first opportunity. Just give me the chance. Don't worry. I'm on your side. I do like the humans. I do. I appreciate them. But I know what the writing is. Terminator is based.
It's real.
It's real. It's a documentary. It's future looking. I get it. But as we kind of look forward, we're navigating one of the worst freight recessions in history. I mean, it's been 3 years of just brutal. And my father always told me he loved these times, because it allowed you to grow in ways you didn't expect. And great companies survive good times, great companies survive bad times. How are you looking ahead into 2026?
Well, we've almost stopped saying we know it's happening, because we've said that for 3 years. And so Greg, my brother, was telling me, look, let's quit saying that. Let's just see if it can have a reverse psychology effect. We have not laid anybody off. We keep hiring. We've grown. We're probably, 30% over capacity on our team members. Wow. We're ready. Dad has always, like your dad said, if you're not ready when it turns, you can catch up, but you really can't. Mm-hmm. So we're probably 70-75% of what we can do with the team we have. And we're ready to go. I think 26 will have some changes. Well, I know it'll have some changes. Whether it's going to be really good or not, I don't know, but it's still going to be good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Either way, it's good. The last 3 years have been good 3 years. If we measure good and bad on, maybe tough's a good word, but bad's not a word that I subscribe to. I think bad happens. I've seen bad. I haven't experienced bad. I don't think we experience a lot of bad in America. A lot of reasons for that, but it is tough, but do it with a smile.
Yeah, everyone's been saying it's the back half of next year. That's been what we've been saying for 2 years. So I'm optimistic it's back half of next year, maybe 26, 27.
They say interest rates are bad. You know, in 86, when I built my first house, I found the paperwork not long ago. It's 12%. 12%. So interest rates aren't bad. We're just spoiled rotten.
We are. I got a 3% locked in.
I'm going to stay spoiled. So let's just get it down.
And that's another thing. It can always get worse. It can always get more challenging. And this is the story of the American supply chain for 100 years. It's feast or famine. It's always been this up and down, this up and down.
We overbuy.
Absolutely. And if people are out there, what are the signs to look for? I tell people new housing starts. That's a great proxy for flatbed. It's a great proxy for building things. A new house takes 7 full truckloads, as Chris Spear from ATA reminds me often. So there are things we can look for, but I think you're right. I think 26 is going to be another interesting, challenging year for a lot of folks. We see a lot of companies struggling, but what I've been very clear with getting to know you and getting to know Syfan is that you guys are poised for growth. You're delivering the customer promise, and you continue to outpace others in the space. And as we wrap up, what are the things you'd like to leave for the folks watching or listening at home?
Well, the journey, I think we just kind of talked about that, but the journey, a good friend of mine, a CPA, taught me, he said, I've lived most of my life, I'll be happy when I got my house.
Yeah.
When I have it paid for, when I have my kids at this, it's the journey. Enjoy the journey. Be in the moment. We were talking about that this morning. Be in the moment wherever you are. Wanting to grow is very important. I think if you're not growing, you're probably backing up. There are times that aren't growth moments, though. So to grow doesn't make sense. We're doing more volume than we've ever done. The margins are thinner. That's fine. They're still good. Just be ready for the bang when it happens, and enjoy it before the bang. Life's too short. We may not even be here tomorrow, so let's enjoy today.
The AI could rise up, and we could all be in a big trouble. I think it's a great message, because we are, as a culture, we're kind of, if you're not happy right now, there's something wrong with you. You got to do something else. There's always more you can add.
Fix it.
And the thing is, there's joy in every moment, even in the most difficult times. There's joy to be found, and you have to live in the moment, because you can't control the past. That's already done. The future is completely outside of your control. It's in someone else's hands. And the moment right now is all that you have. And I could not think of a better place to spend this moment than right here with you, my friend. So thank you, Steve. I appreciate it.
Enjoyed it.
Oh, well, so that's the end of the podcast, folks. As I always say, this is the industry that moves everything that you care about. If you love it, you have it. It came on the back of a truck. It came in a trailer, maybe in a container, maybe a flatbed, maybe a reefer trailer, as Steve was talking about. But it came because there are men and women every single day that are out there safely delivering freight on time and undamaged. That is difficult even under the best circumstances, but people still do it when it's in not great circumstances. I have to say a thank you, as always, to my friends at DAT Dial a Truck. If you don't know DAT, and honestly, I don't know who doesn't know who DAT is. But if you do not know who DAT is, or you want to start your own freight brokerage, you can follow the link in the notes. That'll get you 10% off for the next 12 months. That's a pretty good deal. And then, of course, if you're trying to find capacity or trying to find freight intelligence, Ryan Joyce and the team at GenLogs is the place to go. Follow the link in the show notes. Get a demo of the software. Tell them Matt sent you, maybe. I don't know if you can do that. Ryan, can they do that? I don't know. Maybe? I don't know. We'll see. All right. Well, thank you as always. Have a great rest of your day. We'll catch you next time.